Anything not clear? Whatever you want, please. Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to talk about that we haven't covered in this topic, or anything else? Anything at all, please. Opportunity is now. Ask question. Huh? Nothing? Go, darling.
So we've talked today about two different things, and I can't kind of articulate them together.
Okay.
So we've talked about attachment being the voice of ego grasping.
This is the way I say it, yeah.
Yeah. And the need to really let go of the ego.
Say those words.
Let go of your ego.
But that's the second part of your sentence. I can't see the relation between that part and the first part of the sentence.
Okay.
So say the whole sentence again.
So, right. So we've talked about attachment being the voice of ego grasping.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Right.
We've also talked about agency and empowerment.
Yes.
Instead of being a victim.
Yes.
Which made you feel a better person.
That's right.
So isn't that boosting an ego?
No, that's the whole point. I hear you, and that's the big mistake. So like I was saying before, we've got the delusions that are I-based, pathetic, neurotic, delusional, hopeless, ridiculous, the cause of suffering. And then we have the virtues. We have the virtues. We have to grow virtues. So how the hell do you think you'd be if you didn't have many delusions but had virtue? You'd be powerful, connected, content, fulfilled, joyful, happy, self-confident. Yes. The positive qualities. Can you hear me?
I got it, yes.
But our trouble is, as soon as we hear about letting go and giving up ego, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's the irony of it. Right now, that's why we can mishear it. When you give up attachment and anger and jealousy, you're much more I love when I remember vividly when I first saw His Holiness in like 82. Lama Yeshe asked us, some of us Western people, to be bodyguard for His Holiness during his tour of Europe, and I happened to be one of them. So I was up close for 6 weeks watching the Dalai Lama, and what you could see was he was charismatic and powerful. Then we hear about no ego, we think of a Paul. And you sort of hear what I'm saying. So giving up ego doesn't mean you become a mouse. It depends on your personality. We've got different styles. So, you know, some lamas who are Buddhas are quiet, like little mice. I don't mean the mice part, but quiet, and has the aspect of being very powerful and charismatic. I mean, I remember seeing him do what do you call press conferences. He ran the show. He barged in. This person, you go there. You, this person, you can imagine. That's not what we think of as a humble person. Doesn't. That's why if you look at all the deities, they're perfect. Some of them big, powerful, wrathful. Some are quiet and peaceful. We've all got different style, different nature. Are we communicating?
Yes, thank you.
You sure?
Yes.
God. Yes.
Is it then recognizing the aspects of this in ourselves?
Yeah, we've all got different. I think we've got different personalities, you know. And if you look at these Buddhas, like looking at Vajrayana, and you see all the different Buddhas. Some male, some female, some peaceful, some wrathful, some loud and bossy, some quiet, you know. So we've all got to fit. You get the one that suits you. I mean, I remember watching the Dalai Lama and thinking, wow, I'm so relieved. It means I can be loud and bossy if I want to be. Which sounds sort of very opposite to giving up ego. I know I look like and sound like a bossy egomaniac. Don't understand me? Now, I might be. You got to decide, you know. You understand me? But we've all got different personalities. So if you make that personality fitting with virtue, it can be a loud shape, small shape, fat shape, thin shape, any kind. It's quite liberating, really. And even if you look at the Vajrayana, and there are 4 ways in which you can help people. One is peaceful. One is anger. One is controlling, which is attachment energy. If you some of those Buddhas are attachment energy manifesting. They use seduction and controlling to benefit sentient beings. It's all based on virtue. Are we communicating?
This is amazing.
What?
Amazing.
It's nice, isn't it? We've got these cliched ideas. Oh, I'm going to become a Buddha. I remember thinking, I don't want to become a quiet Buddha. I don't want to become a quiet Buddha. I want to be the biggest, fattest, loudest Buddha on the planet. You understand? I know it sounds silly, but get my point. So become our own person. I love that saying in our culture. Become your own person, please. Not some cliched view of what you think is a nice person. Okay? I mean, I exaggerate by shouting and yelling. I know that. Kind of get my point. You understand? Yeah. Anybody got any questions? I mean, Lama Yeshe, he was hilariously funny. He was loud and huge and big, strong and loud and funny, you know. But in his nature, he's this humble yogi, you know. Dalai Lama the same, humble, simple person. You just put whatever aspect you have, you use it for others. You know. Yes.
What would you say is the karmic explanation for people who don't experience Buddhism?
Don't experience what?
Buddhism.
What do you mean, sweetheart?
For people who are not following Buddhism.
What about it? Why would they not like Buddhism? For what? Because you haven't, well, put it this way, the Buddhists would say that all of us have got countless lifetimes. So you could argue, well, we maybe been Buddhists in the past, but at this moment in time, certain other things are so dominant that it's kind of buried. You could argue like that. We've all been murderers in the past as well. Do you understand? So luckily, maybe in this life, it's not manifesting. I think it's because it's just not in the space and time. It's just not connecting. Because in the end, whether you call it Buddhism, musician, mathematician, it's just a way of labeling ways of thinking. You know, ways of thinking. So if you've got a person who, if you know, like Sunny, she didn't call herself Jewish, Christian, Buddhism, but she was like the most perfect. You could say that what she did agreed with the Buddhist approach. But she didn't call it that. She did exactly. She was like a perfect workshop for Buddhist behavior. Totally perfect. Do you see what I'm saying? In terms of her approach to dealing with that suffering, knowing she could change her own mind and knowing that delusions cause her suffering and virtues cause her happiness. She didn't say it that way, but you could argue that's what she was doing, you know. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Mm. Yes. Where are we? Who's talking? Yes, darling.
Blessing our speech on our tongues. You did the blessing of the speech.
Yes.
It was great for a few weeks. It was great.
And what happened? You forgot.
I had a shy today.
You what, darling?
Shy today. It's gone off, but it worked.
It does work. You've got to do it every day, darling.
But I can't say.
That's why you got. I mean, no, unless you make it a decision every morning, you wake up.
So
You must every morning in your own way, and then you've got to make the decision. You've got to make a conscious decision. I'm going to watch my speech today, and if you don't say it, you won't have. It won't. Lama Zopa says everything exists on the tip of the wish. It's not cosmic. If you don't say, "I want an ice cream," I promise you won't go get an ice cream. So you've got to start with the thought, the intention, and that'll guide you. And it's profound. You can control your speech in one day. Oh, what an amazing habit. If we controlled our speech, 99% of our problems in a day wouldn't exist because they're always about arguing and families and, isn't it? Uncontrolled speech. Keep going. Don't forget it. What else, people? Something else. I mean, we've done plenty. I didn't go into emptiness much, but I said a little bit, didn't I? Any more about emptiness you want to understand? Do you want to help me say, yes, darling?
Whenever I reflect on emptiness and go through it in my mind, I always hit a brick wall.
You always do what?
Hit a brick wall.
Where? Which point?
Because even though the pretty cup doesn't exist from its own side, and the parts that it's made out of don't exist from its own side, there's still something there. Otherwise,
Okay, I hear you, darling. I hear you. I hear you, but that's not a brick wall. It's even learning to interpret what that means. Because our trouble is, at the moment, with our minds being very delusional and being kind of mixed with the delusions, which in their nature are concrete, see things as concrete, then when we say nothing has any existence from its own side, we go, oh yeah, I get that. But then we say, nevertheless, so in other words, a cup is, you define a cup as that which holds your tea, right? So that you have to first, okay. You first have to establish something as existing conventionally, because emptiness depends upon conventional. So we first establish, what's that, mummy? Well, it's called a cup, darling. Well, tell me what a cup is, mummy. Give me the definition. We've got to know what it is. So there's two parts to a definition. There's conventional characteristics, this clay container, let's say, and I can see that, but I don't know yet what it is, what its function is. This is important. And she'll say, it holds my tea. Now, don't believe her. She'll have to prove it. So she gets her tea and she pours, and we will both see it, in fact, fits the definition. It holds her tea. So then now we know what a cup is. So if we leave it there, that's not wrong. But what we don't see is that with that truth, we are seeing it as inherently that way. We're seeing it as that way in the cup, as having nothing to do with my mind calling it that. We make the mistake of seeing it as intrinsic, seeing it as inherent, seeing it as independent of my mind. So that's where there seemed to be a contradiction. So then we go, that is a cup, but we are already layering it with these mistakes, So then the Buddha says, okay, so now you've got to search for the inherent cup. And that's where it gets difficult. You've got to really be clinical and very granular and very precise in doing much different, taking many tracks of analysis that help us break down these deeply held misconceptions that we don't even see are playing out in our assessment of the cup, to break down, to prove that there cannot be anywhere in here, this is emptiness now, from its own side, anything that is this cup that holds my tea. Now, as soon as we hear that, we throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that we think it contradicts there being a cup that holds my tea. As soon as we hear emptiness, we hear it as nothingness. But then we say, no, Buddha says there is a cup. And then we go, oh, well, if there is a cup, what we immediately do is we exaggerate the cup. As soon as we hear there's no cup, we exaggerate that and throw the baby out with the bathwater. We go too far. And as soon as we say there is a cup, we now go too far this way. So we're like drunken sailors, never making up our damn mind, Then we say, well, listen, excuse me, Buddha, is there a cup or is there not? Make up your mind. So what Buddha's saying is there is a cup that does hold your tea, but not from its own side. And these are the two and it is a brick wall. And this is the difficulty. We've got to put the two truths together. And that's the part that's tricky. That's all the logical arguments we have to use to get us to slowly. This is the most difficult of all. You understand? So for the great yogis in meditation who realize emptiness, clear as bell, crystal clear, there's no cup from its own side, crystal clear. And they get out of their meditation and they go to the kitchen and they put their cup of tea in, and still they know there's no cup from its own side, but it still holds their tea and they get a nice drink. So it's not as if there is no cup, and it's not as if there is a cup. It's not as if there's neither of it. It's more new. Just put it this way, it's more subtle than we think. That's all. And you've got to keep doing the analysis and the logic and the purification to slowly get to see these two truths together. So another way of intellectually talking about how they have to come together, how they can't contradict each other, is, now let's just talk about, look at it in a whole other way, the way they talk. As soon as we hear emptiness, we get a bit confused because it sounds like nothingness. The word implies nothing, empty, nothing. It's completely mistaken. So let's look at it this way. Okay. The Buddha says the job of the mind is to cognize. And you say, well, cognize what, please? He says that which exists. So, whatever the mind can cognize, it's known as an object, a phenomenon, an existence. There are several terms that are used. And the mind can cognize all kinds of things. There are simple things like concrete things like a cup, a computer, a lid, but there are more subtle things, a bit more abstract, like, a cup is said to be impermanent. You agree? A cup is impermanent, meaning it's got the characteristic of breakability. It possesses that, doesn't it? So then, if that's true, the mind has to be able to cognize impermanence, but it's a bit abstract. You can see yellow, you can touch clay, but you can't see impermanence because it's a bit more abstract, isn't it? But it still is a very real thing. Would you agree? So therefore, the mind has to cognize the impermanence of this cup. Now, so then impermanence is something that exists, right? So where does it? So this is it can be say generally there is impermanence. But now, if you want to cognize impermanence specifically, what would you have to do?
Wait.
No, what would you have to find? You'd have to find something that is impermanent. So a cup is impermanent. So if you want to realize impermanence, you've got to find something that has the characteristic of impermanence. Can you hear that? Does a cup possess the potential to break?
Yeah.
That means the cup is impermanent.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So one is a cup exists. Do you agree? Does a cup exist here? Simple speaking, simple. It's a cup, right?
Sure.
It's a cup. So is the cup impermanent?
Yeah.
Is the cup yellow?
Yeah.
Is the cup round?
Yeah.
So roundness is a characteristic of this cup.
Yeah.
Yellow is a characteristic of this cup.
Yeah.
Impermanence is a characteristic of this cup. Do you agree?
I agree.
So then, you can talk about roundness exists. Oh, yeah, I know roundness, generally speaking. But if you want to understand roundness specifically, you've got to find a thing that is round.
Okay.
And then you see roundness. Same with impermanence. Same with emptiness. So, impermanence is the breakability of something. It's abstract. You can't see it with your eyes. But we know from experience it is a thing that does exist on this cup. Yellow is yellow, I know yellow, you visualize it, but if you want to have a cognition of yellow, you need a thing that is yellow in front of you. So you say yellow is a characteristic of this cup. You agree with that?
Yeah.
So impermanence is the characteristic of this cup, isn't it? And then you know what? Emptiness of inherent existence is a characteristic of this cup. Is it not?
It is.
So it's a more subtle thing that does exist. So that emptiness has to exist on something. They don't contradict. You cannot have emptiness of inherent cup without a bloody cup. You can't have impermanence of a cup without a cup. You can't have yellow without thing that's yellow. So you can't have emptiness without dependent arising. A cup is a dependent arising. Emptiness of inherent cup is a characteristic of a cup. So emptiness exists right there on that cup. You're not going to say, oh, there's emptiness somewhere, wow. You've got to point to something that is empty. You've got to point to something that is yellow. You've got to point to something that is impermanent. So dependent arising and emptiness come together. You can't have one without the other. So you got to work that out. That's all. Okay.
So does that mean that emptiness is empty?
Of course it is. If it exists, it's empty. Whatever exists, if you can posit something as existing, then it too is empty. Of course it is.
So it's empty of inherent.
Emptiness of inherent cup is empty. Of course it is. Whatever exists by definition is empty. Of course it is.
So there's nothing which isn't empty.
There's no such thing as that isn't empty. What did you just say? What did you say?
Is there anything which does exist from its own side?
No, not possible. Impossible.
So not even atoms,
Not even anything. That can't by definition. So what enables something to exist is the fact that it is empty.
Then what is it that I'm having an experience of?
Which experience where? Give me more words. What are you talking about?
This is all of it.
But yeah, I've done it. Be practical. What is it? What are you saying? What's the question? Honey, what's the question?
Trying to formulate it.
Okay.
So we've established that nothing is truly findable.
Nothing exists from its own side.
Oh, okay, then what gives rise to an experience that
No, it's okay. What do you mean what gives rise to an experience? Experience of it is one thing. We're talking about the thing or your experience. Which one are you talking about?
I need to understand the question.
Well, then don't bother. Let it be. Don't make it more complicated than it already is. Mm. 5 minutes to go already. It's very quick. Doesn't take long, does it? I'm sure time goes quicker than they tell you. Okay, the finish is finished. We've got to know our minds, okay? We've got to know our mind. But not just by looking inside. Let me see my mind. It's like looking at a garden without knowing botany. That's just called nihilism. You can use Jung if you want. You can use Freud. You can use Jesus. You can use the Greek man, whoever did, that one. Whoever you like, you can use it. You can make up your own view of your mind. But you can't just look at your mind. You've got to look at your mind in reference to this theories about the mind. And we're talking here Buddha's views. You don't have to use Buddha's views if you don't want to. But it's so specific. It is so specific. Are we communicating there? That's up to you to decide. It's Buddha's analysis of the mind, And it's very detailed. It goes into great detail. To study it first, the theory, like any theory, it's hard. Then you slowly use that as your basis for identifying what's in your mind. So we have to just have some concentration, and we have to develop that ability. We have to purify our minds, all these things, and we have to learn to observe the thousands of thoughts and begin to identify each one, which just takes time because they're all jumbled together like a big soup, So it takes time. But this is the key to success. It's a source of happiness and the source of getting rid of your suffering. And then therefore, this is the fundamental point. The essence of the Buddhist approach. So it's, you can be like Sunny and not call it that. It's up to you. But it's like I said, the hardest job we'll ever do, but the most fundamental. Okay, people. I don't know. I think we should finish. I think it's time to finish. Maybe we can just do a little meditation. Maybe we can just do a nice little meditation of just kind of trying to well, the first, okay, why don't we just do 5 minutes of watching our breath? That'll do. Watching your breath is like you're deciding you're going to focus on one thing. It's a training. You're training your mind to stay focused. And the benefit of that is that you bring that to you. As soon as you get off your cushion, you already develop the habit to be focused. It's helpful, So just be comfortable, be very relaxed, very comfortable. Close your eyes, be very comfortable, sit up straight. And we're just for 5 quality minutes, we're going to pay attention to the sensation out our nostrils as the air goes in and out. It's not as if the breath is important. It's just easy to anchor your mind to the breath. So the goal of this long term is to get very subtle concentration, but don't hold your breath, okay? That's why I like to say the immediate benefit of doing a little technique like this every day is you're training yourself to stay alert, focus, in fact, on the breath, but you can't help, therefore, to become more alert because you're not just sinking into your garbage thoughts, and it enables you to become more bright, more conscious. It should, ideally. That's why 5 minutes, don't forget 20 minutes, 5 minutes is good quality. So the technique is this. We're going to make a decision. I'm going to pay attention. The part of my mind is going to call pay attention to that sensation. That's the job to be done. Now, you won't succeed. Within 3 seconds, you're wandering off thinking about the dog or your boyfriend, whatever. That'll happen. It's natural. So another part, okay, there's several parts of your mind. This is helpful. There are many parts of your mind all doing their job, okay? So the part we're trying to train is to develop concentration. So you start with pay attention. Then the next part of your mind that's doing its job is called mindfulness. And it's really the part of your mind that's it's like watching. It's like watching the attention. And as soon as attention's like the baby, and as soon as attention wanders off, mummy mindfulness brings it back to the breath. Do you understand me? It brings it back to the breath. Even just those two doing their job. Don't think, I'm watching my breath. Be more precise. Like I'm holding a cup, yes, but which part of you? Your hand, thumb does this, finger does that. So the bits of your mind all do their job. So we're going to watch the breath. Attention, you're paying attention to the breath. Mindfulness is like your mother watching. The moment attention wanders off, mindfulness brings it back. That's it. It's like that. And if you have to do that 20 times in that 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that's a good meditation. Just spacing out is the opposite. You've got to try and stay conscious, stay alert, stay sharp. Just watch the boring old breath. And I'll remind you a few times in the 5 minutes or 4 minutes that we'll do it to bring your mind back to the breath. So just with determination, pay attention to that sensation at your nose, the tip of your nose as you breathe, okay? Don't force the breath, very natural, but that's the focus point at the nostrils, that feeling there when you breathe in and out. Focus on that. Pay attention to that, okay? Keep your mind, keep that attention sharp, okay? Just on the breath. Let all the thoughts be. Don't worry about the thoughts. Don't try to think they should go away. Let them all chatter away, but do not pay attention to them. Keep paying attention to that breath. It's like driving on a busy freeway, a motorway, and all the cars are running around. You don't pay attention. You pay attention to where you are right here, and you stay focused on that. Just pay attention to your breath. Just bring your attention back to the breath. Just adjust it. You see yourself wandering off. Just don't complain about it. Don't get upset. Just bring yourself back to the breath. That's it. Don't space out. Stay alert. Okay. It's about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And it's a very short time, but you look how quality it is if you're really focusing every second. It's really good training to keep your mind sharp, because most of the time, even when we're awake, we are spacing out, you know. So here you're training yourself to try to stay sharp. And that means training yourself not to buy into all the crazy thoughts, not to get diverted by the thoughts. You don't push the thoughts away. It's a really good practice. You learn to ignore them, not suffocate them. Just you learn to train you. In other words, it's really sort of like you're learning to develop some power over where you want your mind to go. We feel like we're being pulled from pillar to post most of the day, don't we? Do you understand? But here you're deciding, I'm in control of my mind. It's good practice. So then you can learn to do that. When you get off the cushion, you know Jack's going to be slurping his coffee in about 3 minutes, and you're ready for it. So I'm going to also control my mouth. So you notice your mind getting agitated as you get to the kitchen. Shut up, Robina. Give the man a break. Hi, darling. I hope you enjoy your coffee. Problem solved. Okay? That's it. Thank you, people. We've got prayers to put on the thing. We'll just do a few little dedication prayers. Our 3 hours together, 4 hours, 9 hours, 1,000 hours together has gone like a dream. So we do the dedication and then we finish with Lama Zopa's prayer. Dedication. Oh, we'll do Lama Zopa's prayer, sure. So here's Lama Zopa. Some of you might know him, but he's this little boy now. They're said to be. Dalai Lama says he's in Nepal. I was thinking of his little boy with his little hat on. It's chilly there with his sisters and brothers, hopefully, gallivanting about, not thinking about us yet. We're kind of demanding that he does. We're waiting for you, mate. Come on then. So we ask him to come back. So peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang. This is now talking a general thing. Lama Tsongkhapa, father and sons, along with lineage masters, all objects of refuge, infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. So we say this little prayer, this aspiration. We're talking to Lama Zopa, this little person. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience, that's his name, Zopa, see, that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you we make request. We request you. So while striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. Such a great loss. All the Lama said it was a big surprise. He suddenly decided to go. It was a big shock to us. So nevertheless, to the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta, of all the victorious ones, the children of the victorious ones, may, it says here, let's be personal, may your smile, most dear kind Lama, swiftly beam in glory on us, for us fortunate disciples. Very soon. Please come, okay? And we dedicate. So now we think, due to the merits, all the virtuous karma of these actions of listening to these teachings, may we quickly become a Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. And the next one, may the supreme jewel, may this bodhicitta, we didn't talk about bodhicitta at all, this aspiration to be of benefit to others based on compassion, okay? May that has not arisen in anybody's mind, may it come in the mind and may it grow, and then may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. And then we always like to say a little prayer for Dalai Lama to live long, and he always keeps promising he's going to live for another 20 years, so who knows? So we hope he does. So in the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful, Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends, and may we live long, okay? But if you're going to be a troublemaker, then don't live long. Best to die, okay? So if you're going to be useful, stick around and try to develop yourself so you can be helpful to others, even the next door neighbor. It's a good start, okay? That's it. Goodbye, people on Zoom. Thank you, darlings, all of you. And